mode.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of District 79 webinars, where we present exciting trainings and presentations to help you become better communicators and leaders. I am Dietia Makanke, the District 79 webinar manager, and it's my pleasure to have all of you with us. I want to welcome our presenters today, and let me go ahead and introduce them. Our first presenter is Toastmaster Bilquis Ahmed. Toastmaster Bilquis Ahmed joined Toastmasters in 2003, and she took a couple of sabbaticals and returned to us with a vengeance last year in 2015. We are delighted that she has come back, and she is an active member at Dhahran Women's Toastmasters Club, where she serves as the Vice President of Public Relations, and she is an officer at Eagles Toastmasters Club, where she serves as the Vice President of Education. In the past, she has also served as a club president, Vice President of Education, and treasurer, as well as Vice President of Membership at her home club in California. And Toastmaster Bilquis, by profession, she is an English language tutor and an instructor. And tell me the name of that club that you are, your home club in California, and welcome, Toastmaster Bilquis.
Hello, DT Makanke. I'm excited and so delighted to be here tonight. That home club is Torrance Chamber of Commerce Toastmasters.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here. Our other presenter is Toastmaster Tuba Khan. She is our current administrative manager for the District 79, which is the District of Saudi Arabia, and is a past president of Sand Dunes Toastmasters Club. By profession, she is known to many as Dr. Tuba because she's a medical doctor and works as an aesthetics consultant. She will be joining us. I'm going to check in now to see if we can open her mic. Toastmaster Tuba, are you there? And can you hear me? And can we hear your voice if you hear ours? Okay, she was with us earlier, and I'm sure she'll be joining us again soon. And let me just tell you a little bit about myself. I am, as I said, the District 79 webinar manager. I am the Toastmaster of the Year for last year, for 2014-2015, and the founder of the first women's-only club in Division M in its 35-year history. We started a women's club in 2014, and I'm so excited about that club. And I am the first woman to earn the status of Distinguished Toastmaster for Division M in its 35-year history. It's my pleasure to help facilitate today's training, and we will go ahead and get started. Now, before we move further, I want to check in with our attendees. I want to make sure that, number one, you can hear me and you can see my screen and that you can hear everything that's being said. So the way to do that is, if you see the control panel on your screen, type yes, hello, or something to let us know that you're there and you can hear us and you can see the screen. Hi, Toastmaster Abdu Anas Suleiman. Thank you so much. Awesome. So that means you can hear and you can see. Great. Awesome. So now what we will do is I will go ahead and tell you how, as attendees, you can participate. As you already know, you have a control panel on your screen. There's a hand icon that you can use to click so that I know you want me to open your mic so that you can ask a question or make a comment. So when you're ready to do that, just do that, and at an appropriate time, I will indeed open your mic and let you ask a question or make a comment. You can also type a question. If you don't want to speak, you can type a question. Just type it in the question box. I will check in there periodically, and when it's an appropriate time, I will read your comment or your question for you, and then we will have you participate in that way. Additionally, in addition to having the questions, we're going to do something called polling, where we're going to actually test you, our attendees. So make sure you listen carefully to the information that's being presented, and when a poll comes up on your screen related to the information you just heard, you'll have 30 seconds to answer the question, and then we'll close the polling after 30 seconds and present the results to everyone and talk a little bit about the results. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get started, and to do that, I need to turn the screen sharing over to our dear Toastmaster Bilquis Ahmed, and I'm doing that now. Toastmaster Bilquis, you should get a notification on your side, and just click show my screen so that we can come over to you.
Yes.
Okay, great. We see your screen, so please, the floor or the webinar is all yours.
All right. Welcome, everybody, and good evening. So let me ask you, how do you feel when you first face your audience? Is your stomach doing somersaults? Are your knees knocking? Is your heart thumping in your ears? Well, it's only natural. And even experienced speakers feel fear when they address an audience. The key is to transform that fear into power. And in this session, we'll explore some causes and symptoms of fear. And I'll share with you 3 proven methods that can help you channel your nervousness into positive energy. And these include repeated exposure or experience, visualization, and relaxation. Okay, so first let's look at some situations that can trigger anxiety. It's that lingering apprehension or that chronic worry or tension that you feel. The first one is new and unknown situations. Now, uncertainty increases our anxiety, and when we don't know what to expect, this increases our tension and worry. The next anxiety trigger is a risk of failure. No one wants to fail. We dream of success, victory, and achievement, and to fall short of these aspirations can increase our nervousness. The third anxiety trigger is the potential for appearing foolish. The possibility of embarrassment causes great fear and panic. We want to appear confident and in control, but that fear lurks behind us, and it's a cause for us to maybe slip up and say the wrong thing. The last and fourth of the anxiety triggers is the possibility of boring the audience. A speaker hopes to connect with the audience members and establish a rapport. The fear is not connecting with them and being labeled boring, and this can bring about insecurity and worry. Now, there are certain anxiety symptoms that we can look at, because how does the body respond when a situation causes anxiety to bubble up? So the body responds by increasing the flow of adrenaline. And adrenaline can cause the heart to beat faster. Extra blood and oxygen rush to the muscles and brain. And this natural rush provides extra energy that enables quick responses. But it can also have some less desirable effects. And these include an increased heart rate, butterflies in the stomach, uncontrollable shakes, lightheadedness, and finally dizziness. As I said before, anxiety is common to all speakers, and this nervous energy can be a valuable ally if managed properly. So you can also use the adrenaline rush to give power to your delivery. How, you ask? Well, let me tell you. The first is through experience. Now, Thich Nhat Hanh, the Vietnamese Buddhist monk, said, every time your fear is invited up, every time you recognize it and smile at it, your fear will lose some of its strength. Studies have shown that one of the best methods for reducing anxiety is practice. So repeatedly giving speeches reduces fear and helps to build confidence. So after speaking many times, you begin to put your anxiety into context and perspective. So let's look at some techniques that you can use to gain more experience or repeated exposure. So the first one is to practice in front of a mirror. And you may feel self-conscious at first, but it's really highly effective. If you can look at yourself in the eye, you can look at everybody else in the eye too. Another way to increase your rehearsal time is to rehearse in front of family and friends. They may also give you some insights and feedback into your speech. Or you could deliver your speech before your Toastmasters club. And finally, you can give presentations before other groups anywhere you can. And as you do this, you expand your comfort zone. It's not so much as getting out of your comfort zone, but expanding it so that you become familiar with new experiences. Okay? Now, another proven method for managing anxiety is to practice visualization. And this technique is used by top-notch athletes. In fact, before a game, they will imagine what the game will look like. They'll imagine the jersey colors, the color of the turf, every little detail. And research shows that vividly imagined events are recorded as memories, and the brain can't distinguish these from actual experiences. So mentally rehearsing employs thought processes to achieve positive results. Now, you may be familiar with or not, Don Johnson was the 1979 Toastmasters World Champion of Public Speaking, and he says, when practicing alone, I picture an audience sitting in front of me. I can then imagine myself looking into the eyes of individual listeners, envisioning the room, how the tables are laid out, the rows of chairs. And to mentally stimulate the actual event, you can recreate the sights, sounds, smells, even what you're wearing. Okay? So why don't we practice this? I will give you a scenario, and I want you to close your eyes and vividly imagine each action as I describe it. Okay, so close your eyes now, and as I describe each part of the scene, imagine it as vividly as you can. Conjure up the sights, the sounds, the smells. Okay, so number one, you are introduced to an audience. Number two, you walk up to the lectern confidently, smiling to the people as you pass. So what do you see? Do you see men, women? Are they smiling back? Number three, you breathe deeply several times before you begin to speak. So imagine yourself standing confidently before the audience. Then you speak clearly and forcefully, remembering all the points you want to make. And then you captivate your audience with your words, your gestures, and vocal variety. So try to capture that feeling of confidence and power that you can imagine right now. And then finally, when you finish, the audience applauds in appreciation. Woo! Woo! Okay, so open your eyes. And if you repeat this visualization before every speech, you can let your confidence rise and your anxiety plummet. Okay, another way to manage anxiety is relaxation. Because affect the body physically. As anxiety builds, so does physical stress, and we want to relieve this from our body. So first, let's look at some isometric exercises that can alleviate tension and calm the mind. And you're probably saying, isometric exercises? What's that? Well, these are ones in which your muscles tense up, but you don't actually move. So isometric exercises reduce stress by increasing circulation and the flow of oxygen to the brain. So you might have heard of this called as progressive muscle relaxation. So let's do this together. And I want to caution you that if you feel any pain or discomfort, please stop immediately. Okay, so we're going to focus on areas of concentrated tension, such as the shoulders right now. So I want you to tighten your muscles there and tighten your shoulders, tighten, 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 and then release. And feel the contrast between that tension and that ease and relaxation. And when you go through progressive muscle relaxation, you tighten your muscles systematically through the major muscle groups. And usually you start with your feet and you work up to the facial muscles. Okay, now I'd like you to stand, if you would. And we're going to practice some exercises that relieve tension. Okay, so first, inhale. Stretch your arms toward the ceiling. Then exhale as you bend to touch your toes. And only bend as far as you comfortably can. Okay, so let's repeat. Inhale. Stretch your arms toward the ceiling. Then exhale as you bend to touch your toes. Okay, now as you remain standing, hold your arms to the sides, parallel to the floor, and rotate them in small circles. First forward, and we're going to do this 10 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now we're going to take those arms and rotate them backwards 10 times. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, you can sit down again. So the last exercise, which I really like because I always have a lot of tension in my neck. So this one, I want you to drop your head forward toward your chest, okay, to your chest, and then roll it to the right as far as you can, and then come back to the center, and now roll to the left, and then back to the center. Okay, so let's try that again. So your head forward to your chest, roll it to the right, back to the center, and then roll to the left, and back to the center. Okay, I hope you're feeling a little relaxed and holding on to less tension right now. And another great way to relax is to do some breathing exercises. These create a sense of calmness, and the way we usually breathe is pretty shallow and it's from our chest. So I want you to place your left hand on your chest, and I want you to place your right hand right below your rib cage where the opening is. Okay? So when we breathe from our diaphragm, so this is a sheet of thin muscle that's involved in inhalation and exhalation. So when we breathe deeply through our diaphragm, we can create this sense of calmness. And when you breathe deeply, you'll be able to see your right hand, which is on below your rib cage, move up. So breathe in deeply. And when you breathe out, you'll see that right hand go down. Okay, so let's try this. Your right hand should be below the opening of your rib cage. Take a deep breath and feel your right hand rise. And exhale, you'll see that hand will go down. Now, usually breathing techniques precede the progressive muscle relaxation. So actually the breathing should be done first. And even before visualization techniques, it's a good idea to do deep breathing to relax and calm your body. Okay? And in conclusion, it's normal to feel nervous, even after practicing and mentally rehearsing your speech. That's okay. You want some adrenaline flowing to help you speak energetically. And frankly, your audience won't notice. Usually the audience is unaware of the signs that the speaker thinks are obvious. Walk and speak confidently, and the audience won't know that your palms are sweaty and the heart is pounding. And if you use the methods we talked about today to exhibit confidence, the relaxation, the visualization, you will be able to transform your anxiety into positive power. Your audience will be impressed with your confidence and listen to every word you say. Back to you, DTM Akanke.
All right. Thank you so much, Toastmaster Bilquis, for that valuable information and those exercises. I was rotating my head from left to right and right to left, and I did the deep breathing exercises. I stretched my arms, and now I feel so much more relaxed. Wonderful. Thank you so much. Now what I want to do is I want to poll the attendees. We want to ask you a question, and when you see the poll come on your screen, you'll have 30 seconds to answer the poll. So the first question is, which of the following is not a proven method to reduce anxiety? To practice your speech, to visualize yourself giving your speech, to eat your favorite ice cream before giving your speech, or to practice breathing exercises? Which one is not a proven method? And we have 45% of our attendees have voted. We want everyone to vote if possible. And you have 10 more seconds to vote. 55% have now voted. And this really kind of is very easy. This should be a no-brainer, I think. We should have made it harder. You had some harder responses before, and I said, oh, that's too hard. Now it's very easy. Okay. All right. So now we're going to close the poll, and I'm going to launch the results to share them with everyone. Just a moment here. Share the results, and the results show that 89% of our attendees said that eating your favorite ice cream before giving your speech is not a proven method, and 11% said practicing breathing exercises is not a proven method. So the 89% got it right, and the 11% got it wrong, because definitely breathing exercises is definitely a proven method, one that you just went over. But for some people, I bet you they really do think that it's a wonderful, nurturing practice to have some ice cream before their speech. If you're an ice cream lover, they would definitely debate the answer for this question.
It's probably proven for them.
Yes, exactly. Thank you so much for participating, our attendees. Let me just check the question window to see if we have any questions about controlling fear. And yes, Toastmaster Sheikh Ben said, but eating your favorite ice cream can make you relax. I agree with you, Sheikh, but it's just not one of those proven methods, because, you know, you could be lactose intolerant and then that could make you sick. I mean, just the negative impact is, you know, could be, you know, terrible. So thank you so much for your comment, though. If you have any questions or comments, please raise your hand or type a question in the question box. Let me just check the hands and see if anyone has their hand raised. No hands raised. So let's go on to your next module, knowing your audience.
All right, thank you, DTM Akanke. So when you stand before an audience, do you want to impart knowledge and stir an audience to share your viewpoint? Well, to do this, you must tailor your message in such a way that it's easy for the audience to receive and understand it. So you really, by knowing who the audience is, you can fine-tune how that message is communicated and delivered. So you may be asked to speak outside the familiarity of your Toastmasters Club, where you already know who the audience is. And so this module will help you to understand what's necessary to know your audience, so you can capture the interest of audiences far and wide and make your speech relevant to them. So audiences vary. Diversity among a group of individuals will always exist. However, a typical audience shares several characteristics that distinguish it from other audiences. So let's consider the following variables when you tailor a speech to the interests of the audience. First is the age range. When a speaker knows what kinds of events the audience has experienced, she is able to use statements that are more meaningful to that audience. For example, a group of 20-somethings would better understand references from current pop culture, maybe about texting and so forth, than a reference from the 1990s. Another variable is male-female ratio. So depending on the group or organization, the audience may be primarily or exclusively composed of one gender. And that's the case at the Dahran Women's Toastmasters. It's a women-only club. And in this case, you want to gear the language and your examples and your line of reasoning to match the needs and interests of that particular group. So it's interesting, women care more about health issues. They care, so if there's an article about drug-resistant staph, they would be more likely to read it than, say, men. They care more about the recall of toys made in China, or men would, well, what do you think men would care about? Sports, the Super Bowl, economic instability. So you want to gear your speech to address their interests. Another area where it can vary is occupational and economic status. An audience with members of a specific occupation has a certain level of specialized knowledge, and using professional jargon with such an audience would be appropriate. And TM Tuba can attest to that. However, using unfamiliar jargon might be confusing and sometimes might be perceived as being arrogant. For example, business people like to use SMES, which is pronounced SMEs, to describe a subject matter expert. Now, if you use acronyms or things that are unfamiliar to your audience, it might cause them to scratch their heads and think about your last words. And then, while they're doing that, they probably stop listening to what you're saying until they figured out what you meant. And then you've lost them. Another variable is the educational background. Oh, let me go back to economic status. This can also help you define an audience. A speech topic that appeals to an affluent group would probably less likely appeal to, say, a middle class or working class audience. But whatever the occupation or economic status of the audience, your goal is to ensure that the message is perceived as significant to the audience's lives and experience. Okay, so now let's go to the educational background. The educational status of an audience can make a significant difference in the speaker's approach, wording, and focus. So avoid being perceived as patronizing by keeping the speech level just a bit higher than that of the listeners, and make sure that the audience understands your words clearly. Now, here in Saudi Aramco, we are cautioned to stay away from 3 major things, and one of them is politics. So we don't even discuss politics, we stay away from that topic. But if you were, say, in the United States, some groups that you address might have a particular political stance. For example, be aware of the audience's general attitude towards, say, gun control or capital punishment, or even the current candidates up for election in the US presidential race. And with that, you can base your speech whether you want to favor their attitude or you just want to stay away from those kind of subjects. Another variable is leisure activities. So if you're aware of the audience's extracurricular hobbies or activities, this might help you further understand their interests. I mean, if you have a group of, say, golf enthusiasts, you can talk about how it's great weather to go golfing, or if you have a group of hikers, you can talk about the last time you went hiking. You can make a connection with the audience in that way. Now, you want to keep the audience's attention, and how can you do that? Of course, you want them to focus on the content of your speech, but maybe there are factors at the venue that can distract or detract from your message. And these things you can check out in advance or talk to the event host to gather information so you can familiarize yourself with the room layout and just see what you can anticipate. So one of those things is the room acoustics. So will a microphone be necessary? And you can also determine how energetic and physical you have to be to engage the audience. Maybe the room is a small room and you won't have much room to walk around and move, and you don't want to have overly large gestures, and you'll be able to gauge that then. You also want to check out the seating. Okay, so this can give you an idea of how to position visual aids or slides or display props. Another deterrent might be lighting. Maybe there's poor lighting, and if your handouts might not be visible, or there might be glare. If you had slides up, there might be glare from some window. So you can adjust all of these things beforehand. Temperature control can be a problem. If you've ever been at a Toastmasters meeting where it's too hot because there's too many bodies or it's too cold because the AC is running so low, you don't focus on that speech. You're more attuned to your discomfort, not the message. So you want to make sure as a speaker that the audience is going to be comfortable. So you want to make sure that the temperature is comfortable for them to receive your message. Now, you can't really control outside noise. Living here, we are bombarded with the noise of the jets roar usually, but they will create a distraction, and usually speakers can pause and let that distraction go by before they continue, because nobody can hear you over the noise of those jets. Another possible distractions might be cell phones going off, or if you're in a hospital setting, in the intercom, paging Dr. Howard, paging Dr. Howard. And in fact, what I've seen is some clever speakers who incorporate the interruption into their speech. So if the jet goes flying by, they'll wait till it passes and then they'll say, "Oh, there goes my ride." Or if the cell phones go off, "Hello, hello, it's me, can you hear me?" Anyway, it's good to not get disgruntled by any distractions and just go with the flow. Now, when selecting the best way to hold your audience's attention, also consider the time of day. So if your speech is given in the evening, the audience may be so tired from their long day of work or meetings. So try to figure out ways you can boost their energy, maybe make your speech more interactive so that they feel more connected to it. You might have competing events or activities that are going on at the same time as you. So you have to think of how creative ways that you can keep your audience with you or give them an incentive to stay glued to your speech rather than worrying about what they're missing elsewhere. And you can also consider that if the presentation is too lengthy, that there might be a need for breaks so that the audience can recharge and refresh. Okay. So now how should we approach the audience? And I don't mean in a physical sense, but I mean discover what it is that the audience wants to know and what's important to them. And you can figure out what has worked before and what things have not. So to find out how much detail you need to go into about your topic, you can do this in many ways. So first, you can find out what does the audience already know? And you can ask the event host for this information. You can scan publications that are specific to the audience. You can contact the local officers of the group for additional information. Consult references, so check out websites, blogs, or news reports about that particular organization. And finally, you can also talk with another presenter or an actual member of the group to find out exactly where the audience is and where they want to go. If you've heard of Barnabas Piper, he's a writer and blogger, and he said, "You must find the pulse of the audience's desires and needs." So doing that will keep you better informed about where you want to take the audience. Now, there are several common speech objectives, and you as a speaker must recognize what the audience's goals are and then fashion your presentation to meet those objectives. So one of those objectives is to you want to fulfill the audience's goals, and to do that you want to recognize the speech objectives. One of them could be to inform. So maybe you just want to present the facts. Just the facts, ma'am, just the facts. And in a concise, to the point manner, and you can offer the audience useful and beneficial knowledge. Or maybe your purpose is to inspire the audience. Do you want to inspire others by talking about how you personally triumphed over hardships, or relate stories of those who have survived, say, imprisonment or overcome cancer? And you can relate to them that no matter what tragedies occur in life, others have transcended these troubles. Another common objective is to persuade. So maybe you want to stimulate your audience to take some action. You want your audience to willingly accept your proposal through logic, evidence, and emotion. And you want to give them a call to action. Or maybe you just want to entertain your audience. Humorous speeches are great for that. They're solely entertaining. But you can deliver your subject and message in an entertaining way with funny stories or props. And in conclusion, the more a speaker knows about the people in the audience, their backgrounds, interests, and preferences, the easier it'll be to meet the expectations of that audience and satisfy their interest and curiosity. So if you do some advanced research what an audience wants will help you feel more knowledgeable and confident. It will help you, this confidence will then help you create positive energy. And finally, you'll convert a room full of strangers into a captivated and speaker-friendly audience. Back to you, DTM Akanke.
Thank you so much, DTM, future DTM Bilquis. That was wonderful and engaging. And now we're going to engage our audience by asking them another polling question. And we'll go to that now. And you'll have 30 seconds to respond after I read the question for you. What are some of the best ways to find out what the audience wants to know? Ask the event host, talk to members, scan publications produced by the organization, or make assumptions based on what you already know. What are some of the best ways? You can name any of the ones that you think are correct. And you have 15 seconds to answer. What are some of the best ways? Name one of the best ways. Should you ask the event host, talk to a member, scan publications produced by the organization, or make assumptions based on what you think you already know? 5 seconds. And I'm going to close the poll. We had 43% of our attendees to participate. I'm going to share the results now. Okay, so 43% said one of the best ways is to ask the host. 29% said one of the best ways is to scan publications produced by the organization. 14% said talk to members, and another 14% said make assumptions based on what you think you already know. Toastmaster Bilquis, can you make a comment about the polling results?
It's a good idea to consult with others before you go and speak. By making assumptions, sometimes we don't get the complete picture. So it's better, I think, to talk to the host, talk to members of that organization, and find out more about the organization itself. You can make assumptions, and maybe you're right, maybe you're wrong.
Right. So be careful about making assumptions based on what you think you already know. Because what if you think you know is not correct and you're speaking to an audience based on what you think you know rather than what you're certain that you know by asking the host or talking to members or scanning the publication. So thank you so much. I'm going to hide the results. And now we're going to check in to see what's going on with our questions and hands raised. Just give me just a moment to switch back over to my screen. And go to my PowerPoint. Okay, so let's see here. Do we have any questions? I think Toastmaster Tuba's mic is open, so let me, no, she's closed. Okay, all right, so let me see. I think we do have some questions. Let me see here. No questions. Any hands raised? Not one hand raised. That means that they get everything that you've said, Toastmaster Bilquis, and it's
brilliant audience.
Pardon?
We have a brilliant audience.
Yes, we do. Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, so thank you so much. Now we're going to switch over to Toastmaster Tuba. It's time for her to present her segment on preparation and practice and using body language. Toastmaster Tuba, can we connect with you now? I just communicated with you. Are you ready?
Yes, I am.
Okay, great. So I'm going to switch over to you as the panelist. So you're going to get a message that says, we want to share your screen, and you can click show my screen.
Okay. Great. Can everybody listen to me? Is my voice clear?
Yes, your voice is clear and we can see your screen.
Okay, great. So, good evening, everyone. It's an honor that I'm part of this webinar, and it totally coincides and correlates with preparation and practice, because you have to prepare a lot when you're conducting a webinar and even daily lives, because I'll tell you at the end of the session about my incident today, because I did not prepare well. But yes, preparation does count whenever you do something, even if it's about any daily task or any chore or anything like that. So preparation and practice, it does matter a lot. So as you can see, it says that practice makes perfect. Indeed, when we practice a lot, we have a lot of things going on. So we perfect ourselves. Like they say that coals can be polished into diamonds. And this is how it works, that when you prepare and you practice, you polish your skills. And hence, what I would say is, this is how we lead the life. This is how we come across tasks and overcome hardships. Now, as an introduction, I think DTM Akanke already introduced me. But more than that, it's not the introduction that counts. It's the way we move on and go on and move further ahead in life. So this practice, it doesn't make us perfect. It's this perfect practice which makes us perfect. Like we keep on doing practice, and this is how we go on with life. We perfect our practicing skills. Like for example, when we do a particular task and we perform that, in that we need the perfection. It's not only that we have practiced once or we have done it twice or we have done 3 times that will define that our perfection is complete. The perfection never exists. It is that goal, it's that road to life that you keep on practicing a particular task that you do that makes it as perfection. Now I know it's a bit philosophical and it's a little bit confusing, but we'll move on to the next slide. So that's how we're going to talk about it. Now, preparation into practice. Now, whenever we have a speech or we have something going on, mind you, I was a little bit out of breath because of the cold, but whenever we have a preparation of a speech or we're planning to go into a Toastmasters meeting, we see there are a lot of variety of people that they have their CC1s, they have their CC10, they have their advanced, they have a lot of things going on. And this is how this is conjured. Like it starts with the idea that you want to say, then it ends up writing the idea, your storyline, whatever you have to say about the speech, whatever you want to bring in front of people, whatever you want to share to people. And then when you write that speech, you stand in front of the audience to perform. So it starts with the idea, then we have the writing, the standing in front of the audience. So I hope it works. Yes, it is. working perfectly. Fine. So we have the idea, then we have the writing, then standing in front of the audience. Now, on all these things, even if you're as a writer, I mean, most of the people must have tried writing in their life, be it poems or be it articles. That idea is incorporated into your mind, and you keep that trial and error thing going on, and this is how you incorporate that into your writing. Now, with that writing, you stand in front of the audience and you perform. So in these three things that we see, first is the idea, then we have the writing, and then the standing. We have that preparation that you have to put into practice. And this is how a perfect, excellent speech is made. Now, when we are standing in front of the evaluators, we are performing, we have a contest, all our evaluators tell us that there's a room of improvement. And this is how a room of improvement is done. That we incorporate their feedback and we practice and prepare. Now, the next one that I would like to focus on is careful preparation and rehearsal. Now, for example, today, I would say that we had a webinar, and I wanted to find the perfect internet connection. And I was running around and had to change 4 offices for that because I was not well prepared. Now, if I was well prepared and everything was going on time and everything would be prepared on time, that would have made me a little bit less stressful. And this is how it works in speeches. For example, when I was doing my CC5 and CC6, I used to go, and I even had a speech which was called as I'm not prepared, because I just went on the stage and I said impromptu. But the anxiety, as Toastmaster Bilquis already mentioned, the anxiety and that stress, it eats you over, it makes you tremble, and that is what audience notices when you're giving a speech. So whenever you prepare, make sure you have a careful preparation. You don't overstress yourself. It's not an exam. You're sharing your experience. You're not taking an exam. So that preparation should not be very, very much like stressed about. And on the other hand, it must be responsible enough so that you can deliver with a good impact and leave a message in audience's mind. Now, when you talk about rehearsal, we have rehearsal in front of the mirror. We have rehearsal in front of a group of friends, be it the group members, be it the club members, be it among family. So you have your rehearsal going on. And this preparation that we say, it makes the practice an excellent speaker. Just move on to the next slide. I can't change, yeah. Now, comfort zone. When we say we deal with the familiar, unfamiliar surroundings, we have to go out of our uncomfort zone, yes. But we need to know what our uncomfort zone is. That we have a comfort zone, but yet we have to see how we manage. We have to do a little bit different for people who are speaking as a humorous speaker or who are speaking for the international. We have to familiarize that we have to go beyond that. Let's have something serious. Let's have some impromptu speeches. We need to adapt and adopt the settings. Adapting the setting is, for example, if I'm speaking in front of the audience and the audience doesn't understand my humor, I'll try to adopt my speech so that they understand and correct their mistakes, or I have to, in a way, adapt myself so that I can make those changes. And for that, the preparation is needed. With humor, you need the proper punchlines, we need the spacings, we need the proper timing. And for that, we need to go to YouTube. We can see our champions that are there. We can take their help. And that homework helps us build a good speech. Now, when we talk about comfort zone, basically we see what's available to us with the location of the lectern, if it's in the right side, if it's on the left side, if it's on the center, we have to maintain that we have the situation of the lectern is there. And that position of the lectern, we have to familiarize. For example, if there's an area or a division or a district, we go to the venue, we see where it's located, we build our comfort zone. So you have to go out of your comfort zone, see the places, and make it your own territory. Make it your own venue, make it your own home that we can call. For example, we have the audience configuration. If it's U-shaped, it's lecture, it's a circle, what kind of stage you have, the stage space you have, how much working space you have. If it's U-shaped, you can collaborate your eye contact from left to right. And if it's sugar, you can focus on the main thing, on the general thing. If it's a circle, then yes, you have to make sure that everybody looks at you. So it's going selecting out of the comfort zone, going into the comfort zone, and making it a comfort zone. The stage location. Now, for example, if we have stairs, we have to see that the height should be maintained. More than that, how do you go on the stage? You don't want to slip on the stage when you're coming back, or you have to make sure that you give that presence that is available for the audience to see you. The other points that I would like to focus on is, I'm sorry, there's some problem with the highlight, I think. Okay, one second, I'll just erase drawings. Great. The microphone usage. Now, we usually notice that when we have the meetings, the club meetings that we have within 20 to 30 people, we don't need microphones. It's just too loud for people. In fact, people with who are sitting closer to the stage, it's easier for them to hear. And if you use microphone, it's going to be a bit loud for them. So it's not really convenient for them to use the microphone. But whenever you're using for audience which is set more than 100 people and more than 50 years of age and poor acoustics, yes, you need microphone because they cannot hear you. The judges cannot hear you in the back. The people cannot hear you. And that humor, if you have a speech, if the humor is lost, then you'd get that negative feedback. So we have to consider the microphone usage. Is your microphone hindering the ability to move? Is it making sure that you are holding onto one hand and the other hand you're giving expression, and the body gestures are lost? Now, the room conditions we talk about is temperature. Is it too hot, too cold, according to the weather? And if it's 1 degree, you don't want the AC to be on. People will be freezing. If it's 40 degrees, you don't want people to. You have a lot of. It's going to be a lot. I would say it will be heated up. If it's a lot of lighting, too much focused on the speaker will not be able to visualize properly, will not be able to hold eye contact, will not be able to look at the people. And entrance, for example, some locations, they have the gate very near to the speaking area. So whenever the person comes late or whatever happens, he exits or she exits, the speaker gets distracted. So we have to see how the entrance is there, the distraction is there, and the noise pollution. For example, if the people are talking a lot and they're gossiping or they're saying something or commenting or something, the noise pollution does matter. So you have to keep in mind that all these things, if I get a lot of distraction, I'm going to look that side. If somebody's going to say something, I'm going to make sure my voice is louder. If the temperature is a little bit high, I'm going to make sure the temperature and lighting is adjusted before I come on the stage. Visual aids. Visibility, availability, handouts. For example, you need to use a laptop. Make sure you have your HDMI port, you have your screen, projector screen, your projector is working properly, electricity is there, extensions there, Wi-Fi router is there, availability is there. The handouts, make sure they're clear, visible whenever you use them. And usually in the contest seasons, not advisable that you use your notes. So whenever you have a handout or you want to show a picture, make sure it's visible to the people. If it's 100 people, it's not be visible to most of the people. But if you want to have some distribution, make sure it's before and after the meeting. I'm sorry about the end here. So this is what we mainly focus on. 1 second. Great. So the other points that I have is, it's not working. Okay, great. It's stuck. Okay, my computer's stuck. Can I pause this if it's possible?
Maybe you can use your escape button to Semester Tuba. Can you try hitting escape and then starting again? Yeah. Excuse me.
Sure, it's done.
Okay.
So now we have rehearsing the speech that we have. It's about familiarizing yourself with the ideas, not words. For example, if I want to tell a story which is about somebody who had the past, then present, then future. So I would focus on the past, then move on to the present and the future. I would not memorize or imagine or visualize those things point by point, but I can have the main ideas that I want to speak about. For example, somebody had the car, he had an accident, and after the accident, he realized how important life is. So in my head, I will visualize this, and I'm going to talk For example, if I know I'm conducting this webinar, I will visualize that we have to talk about pre, which is before, then rehearsing the speech, then putting it in front of the people, then relaxing myself, and in the end, getting the feedback. So this all will be present in my head. Now next is about communicating with the audience. Communicating with the audience, we have to make sure that whenever we communicate with the audience, we have to rehearse it properly, so it's like a conversation, it's like a communication. Then in the end, preparing a mental draft to focus on the ideas of the message. For example, when we have a mental draft, we focus on how to deliver this draft. For example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we have this in the idea, and from 7, for example, in my point 7, if I'm talking about a car, I can go and talk impromptu. That's perfectly fine. Or it will help in memorizing and in describing the car. So this is how our mental draft works. So it focuses on the idea of the message. Okay, this is forms again. 1 second. Sorry, DT Makanke, I think there's some problem with my.
Okay, take your time.
With my, yeah, exactly. So the next one that we talk about is improvising your points. We look for troubling points. Now, for example, when I was taking part in the division contest, and I had some story to tell about fairy tales and everything. So that point, I was like, there was some point that I was thinking that I should improvise, and was not clicking. So I had to go all over again and waste more time and correct the thing that went wrong. But this was troublesome for me because it was tiring, it was space, it was time consuming, it was consuming my energy. And then when I saw how to use practice and prepare and practice manual, I realized that we should look for the troublesome points and we should improvise on them only. We should not do a general overall thing. When we add improvements, we add them gradually. For example, if I was using, somebody said I should use a Ferrari instead of a Camaro, it looks more charming. But in the end, I ended up having a speech which did not look real. So these small improvements, that changing the car, that small, just make sure that whatever you're using is believable and original, it looks original. These improvisations are required. And in the end, this is how we focus on our pacings, we focus on body language, we focus on things to improvise gradually. We don't drastically change our speech and say, okay, let's start all over again. We improvise them in a way that it doesn't help us forget. It helps us remember. So these improvements that you have in your speech may improvise your points. Now, receiving feedback and doing self-evaluation. Whenever you have an evaluation and whenever you have to do feedback, you first of all practice in front of yourself. Then you see how many improvements you have, how many things you can improve on, and ask people to help you with that. If you ask people to help you, this is how you can receive the feedback and give a bigger push. It's not working again.
Okay, Toastmaster Tuba. Okay, while she's muted her mic, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to.
I am just trying to go into the slides, but it's not possible right now because.
Okay.
It's not. I don't know. It's stuck. I think it's stuck. I cannot do anything right now.
Okay, so are you done with this slide now? You're done with this slide now?
Okay, I just, yeah, now it's done with the slide. I just have one more slide and it's gonna be fine.
Okay.
Yes, one more slide. Yeah, I think you can hear this. I think you can see this too. Okay, so before you do that, you submit the introduction and the speech title. You eat, drink, sleep, and exercise modestly. Not little bit exercise, warming yourself. I think TM Bilquis already focused on, and exercising a little bit. Eating, drinking, sleeping, not sleeping a lot, not having a lot of food because it makes you sleepy, divert that into your digestive system. And more than that, it's self-visualization, that you see yourself, okay, I'm performing now, my name is going to be called, now it's going to be the main speech, then I'll receive the feedback, then I'll get things done. So this is how you visualize yourself, and in the end you visualize yourself, and in the end you receive the feedback, the evaluation, and therefore you go on with the rest. And in the end, it's the proper research and organization along with the delivery which makes a speaker confident and outstanding. It's you have to do a lot of research, you have to organize your speech, you have to make a wonderful delivery, and that is how a speaker can be confident and outstanding. Without preparation, without practice, we say we are the champion of impromptu and everything, but that's in table topics. But whenever you have a training, whenever you have anything to do, remember, practice makes it perfect. So practice it a lot, not too much to overstress yourself, not little to make yourself stressful more than ever. So do the proper research, do the proper organization, make it a perfect delivery, and make it confident, the speech confident, the speaker confident, and make sure you make your audience confident as well. So win their hearts, win their souls, win their minds, and with the end, I would say that a proper speech is all about PP, perfection in practice. I think that's pretty much done.
Okay, thank you so much, Toastmaster Tuba. Before we go to your next module on using body language, let's launch a poll, and then we will see if we have any questions or comments. This poll is related to rehearsing. When it comes to rehearsing your speech, what is not recommended? That you practice your speech by delivering it word for word, that you prepare a mental draft of the speech, that you finish each rehearsal session, that you add improvements gradually, or that you arrange for feedback. Which one is not recommended?
Can I answer now?
No, not you. It's for the attendees. They're seeing a poll, so they're gonna reply. Okay, so again, which one is not recommended? That you try to practice your speech by delivering it word for word, or prepare a mental draft of the speech, finish each rehearsal session, add improvements gradually, or arrange for feedback. And you'll have 10 more seconds. We have 38% who have voted. We want more of you to vote. So please, I'll give you 15 more seconds to cast your vote. Which one do you think is the best answer? And don't be afraid to answer incorrectly. It's all about learning. And just take your best guess. Which one should you not do? 5 seconds. And 62% of our attendees voted. Thank you so much. I'm going to close the poll and now share the results. 78% of you said what is not recommended is that you practice your speech by delivering it word for word. And that is indeed the correct answer. It's recommended that you not practice it word for word, but to, as Toastmaster Tuba said, to practice it in using bullet points, for example, as a starting point, so as to not stress yourself to try to remember everything. In terms of preparing a mental draft of the speech, you should do that so that you don't have to worry about knowing it word for word. And if you start a rehearsal session, if you do a rehearsal session, make sure you do it to completion. And as she mentioned, yes, definitely do add improvements gradually. Don't rewrite the whole speech, but just add minor improvements that will help in significant ways to improve your speech, and definitely arrange for feedback. So practice in front of your family, your Toastmasters Club members, or a small private group to help you improve your speech. So that is definitely one of the recommended ways to improve your speech and to rehearse your speech. So the correct answer for one thing that's not recommended is to practice it for word for word. Now let me close the hide the results and see if we have any questions in the question box or if we have any hands raised. I'm going to switch back over to my screen. And get to the right one. Okay, so let's check and see what questions we have. Do we have any questions? No, our brilliant audience doesn't have any questions, nor do we have any hands raised. So Toastmaster Tuba, we can move on to your second module, which is about using body language. And if you're ready, we can go ahead and I'll come back over to you for your presentation now. You'll get a notification on your screen, and when you see that, you can click show your screen.
Yes. Great. Okay. So I hope you liked the previous presentation, or with the PNP and previous practice and preparation presentation for Bs. So now we'll move on to the next one, which is, I hope it works normally, using body language. Now, how body language helps. Now, whenever you have a play, or you're going to theater, or you go anywhere to see a movie, it looks, I would say, awkward if people only talk and do not show any gestures or body language or expressions. And that's what we say, that at older times, the people used a lot of expressions. That's why they were genuine actors and actresses or whatever. But this is how body language helps, because it's not only what you talk about. Like, for example, we had the Harry Potter series, we had a lot of the Ring series. They're written on books. But when we see them on TV and we see them live, those expressions, the enthusiastic moments that we have, that's how it helps us remember. So whenever you use your body language in a speech, it adds clarity and it emphasizes the speech. It's a powerful tool to convince the audience that you're really much in pain. For example, when we had a club contest like 2-3 days ago, no, I'm sorry, 5 days ago, so there was one contestant who used a lot of body language to express the sorrow and the pain. And deep down, I still remember her speech, because this is how it is. And you do a lot of effort to show the pain, the emotions, the happiness, the love, the hate. People remember it for a long, long time. And this is how the media works. This is how things work in a speech. So seeing and hearing is important to define the message. If I say, for example, I was in pain, I would not do anything, I couldn't understand, people will not believe me. They need conviction. And the nervousness that you get during a speech, you harvest into something important. You make sure that it goes and it harnesses and converts into, for example, I hope many people may recognize this, that when you move, you can change your potential energy to kinetic or something like that. So whenever you have that nervousness, that nervous energy, I do not know if it is existing, but you choose to convert that into good gestures and the trembling hands and everything into the speech. And that's how it attracts the audience and keeps their interest, because these movements, the small finger movements that we show when you're playing the piano, or those 1 or 2, 3 gestures, that's how people will believe and strongly listen to your speech. So when we talk about types of body language, it's about facial expression. I'm in pain. My eyebrows they're together, and I'm shrinking my eyes. Then we have the gestures for the hands and arms, and we have the whole body language. I'm standing slack, I'm standing stiff, I'm standing loose, how am I standing, how am I moving, how am I sitting on the chair. So all these things do matter. The next I would like to focus on is the facial expression, which is the clarity and clues looked by the audience. So when I'm talking about the clarity, it's when you smile, it should look genuine. Like, for example, she gave me a gift which I could not forget for life. You will smile. And that clue and that expression will be taken in by the audience. The next one is about indicating the sincerity, attitude, and conviction. When you're saying I was sad, and then you smile at the audience, and when you say I'm happy, and then you cry in front of the audience, and you don't have that particular expression, people will not believe you. You have to show that attitude, that conviction. You have to show that you strongly believe in your own speech. It should match your mood. Even I would say, I wish vocal variety was included, because that's what I'm showing right now, but it should match with everything that you're going in. And eye contact, you have to make sure that your eye contact is meeting the audience. Your eye is you're looking at the audience, you're not looking somewhere else. you're not focusing somewhere. Yeah, I'm happy, and you're looking at the left side. You need to tell them that this is my story that I'm working on. Gestures. The hands and arms are used mostly. Whenever you talk about gestures, obviously people will focus most, I think most on your face, I would say 60% or 50%, and the rest of your body, like for your hands, it will go like 30% and the rest 10% or something. So your hands and arms, she did that, and you move your arms towards the left, and your fingers, you will show that anger, and your fist or whatever expression you're trying to give. You avoid distracting behavior and looking nervous. Now, initially when I was starting, because before this presentation, I was running around to get a good internet connection, and I came here and I was like all nervous, but then you take something you love doing, and this is something I love doing. So I'll harvest my nervous energy, I'll convert it into something else, and I'll smile and make people relaxed in front of me. So these strong, purposeful movements, they help you out depict and describe and make a beautiful speech. The type of gestures that we have, one is conventional, which is symbols for words. One indicates one finger, two indicates two fingers, three. A slap by all of the fingers. Descriptive, it describes the detail. The sun was high, so we move all our fingers towards the sun. The rain was pouring down, so we move all the fingers together in a downward direction. It describes the details. Emotional, shrugging shoulders. For example, I did not care, I shrugged my shoulder. She did this to me, and I'll move my fists together, my arms and hands together. And the frequency and vigor should be, I mean, when you're talking about this, she slammed the door once, twice, thrice. I tried stopping the car, and then you use it once. You don't use it repetitively, because this will disturb and distract everyone. The smaller gestures should correspond to the audience. Now, for example, if I have somebody, or I'm describing something, I'm giving a small gesture for like a group of 10 or 20. But if I had a huge audience, I would not do a little bit, a movement of intro to no. I need to make sure that people can see me and I can see them, and I make huge gestures to cooperate with my speech. Okay, so when you have a whole body movement, they say whenever you take a photograph, you put your back straight and you put yourself, you breathe in, and you have a good photograph. I'm telling you, it's a photography tip. So whenever you want to have a good photograph, you position yourself, and your position is going to determine your photo. Do you all know that whenever you put your face down, you have lesser chances of having a double chin in a photograph? So this is how it works whenever you're presenting something. Your stance, your position, your movement describes your confidence. People who have like shrugging shoulders, they have like back drooped, or they don't not very alert, people say, oh, this speech is not going to be good. He's just too lazy to have a speech, like, attentive speech. So you have to appear alert, in command. Do not let the shaky hands take control of you. I can have my hands shaking, and even now my hands are shaking, but I will tell myself that no, even if people are hearing me, to keep the speaker poised. Alas, this happened to me. You position your arm, and then you go on with your speech. So these various movements, they help during the speech. Like, for example, I was sitting in the airplane. You sit in front of the chair, and there was a man next to me. So you point out to the man, and then he stood up, and then I'll stand up. So these various movements will go according, like a heartbeat goes according to the pressures. So you go according to the speech, and you describe all these purposeful movements. And the end, sorry, practice in front of the patient. The practice in front of the people. This is how much I was involved. So practice in front of the people, and the patient man, I meant, not my patient. So practice in front of the people, and this is how you're gonna do it. I'm sorry for that. It's supposed to be a joke. Nobody laughed. So you practice in front of the patient person, and you build yourself up. Next is, okay, this is not done so soon. Okay, so now just a little bit conclusion, that when I joined, and I was so nervous, because whenever I used to go for impromptu, I used to get very hyper, and I'm still hyper, but it was terrible. I did not know what to do. But then I started enjoying it. And now, to be honest, because I'm working as in a medical field, and this is how I can prove myself, but um, it was disastrous because I was too energetic, and that's what how people call me. I'm too energetic. But then I calmed myself down. I said, whenever you're nervous, you control your body rather than your body controlling you. So whenever you have this thing of using your body language, make sure that it is controlled by you, and you give your best, you prepare the best, you practice the best, and you deliver your speech the best. So thank you so much for being a part of it. I'm sorry I could not add more, but I hope if there are any questions, I can help you with that. And I'm sorry for all the small little inaccuracies, the background noise and everything. But I say next time I will prepare for the best. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Tuba, for sharing with us how to use our body language to improve our speech. And I was really appreciative also of how the preparation and practice component overlapped with the knowing your audience component that DTM or Toastmaster Bilquis shared with us earlier. So it shows how knowing your audience is part of preparing for a good speech, and how once you can incorporate that, you are really moving forward towards becoming a competent speaker. We have another poll that I'd like to launch, so just give me a moment to launch that poll. Okay. This poll is about using body gestures. I'm going to launch the poll now. What are the types of body gestures? Conventional gestures, descriptive gestures, emotional gestures, all of the above. So you'll have 20 more seconds to answer the question. 47% of our attendees have voted already, and you'll have 15 more seconds. What are the types of body gestures? Conventional gestures, descriptive gestures, emotional gestures, or all of the above? 67% have voted. I'm going to close the poll and launch the results. And all of our brilliant attendees got it right. All of the above are types of body gestures. The conventional ones, like using one finger, two finger, three fingers, if you're saying something that is counting, for example, descriptive gestures and emotional gestures, as she just went over. So great job to all of our attendees, and thank you, Toastmaster Tuba, for sharing that information with us. Let me check on the questions. I don't think we have any. And let me see if we have any hands raised. I don't think we do. Okay, so now if there are no questions and no hands raised, I would like to just go over in summary and open the mic of all of our presenters. Toastmaster Bilquis, if you're still there, I'll open your mic as well so that we can summarize what we've just talked about in terms of helping our attendees understand the components of delivering with confidence. So the first thing that we went over by Toastmaster Bilquis is to control your fear. And then she talked about knowing your audience. And then Toastmaster Tuba talked about how to practice and prepare and gave us some tips on that and how to use good body language. Are there any concluding thoughts from you, Toastmaster Bilquis, that you'd like to share about anything? Also, you can comment on anything that Toastmaster Tuba went over in her modules, or you can have any concluding thoughts that you'd like to say about your modules. Whatever you would like to contribute at this point.
Yes. Actually, Toastmasters is just a fun journey, and like Toastmaster Tuba was saying, it shouldn't stress you out, and you just progress. I always say it's progress, not perfection, and with each step you learn more about yourself and about what you're capable of, and slowly you'll realize that potential. And so if you don't do one thing right this time, you'll get it right next time, and it's just incremental progress.
Absolutely. Great advice. Great comment. Toastmaster Tuba, would you like to say anything?
About the overall thing,
Yeah, about
or
anything, about delivering with confidence, about any concluding thoughts that you would like to share. Please feel free to do that in terms of delivering with confidence.
yeah, it is like what they say is, again, these are all interrelated, that you should know your audience and
It's
compare
hard
your
to hear you, Toastmaster Tuba. Can you come closer to your microphone? It's hard to hear you.
Okay. Is it okay now?
Okay, go ahead.
I just wanted to conclude that it's like about how to control yourself, your fear and your inner self, and after that, knowing your audience. Then you prepare, practice, and then you use your body language. So it's all interrelated. It's just like you do a lot of things, and in the end, you make it an excellent speech. This is how it works. So when you start with that, you have to control your fear, then you have to prepare, and then you have to deliver, and then you have to use your body language. So everything is interrelated and everything's working all together. So I say that this webinar, thank you so much, UTM Ante, for this honor.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for telling me also how to learn Toastmaster Bilquis. Thank you so much for even teaching me how to control my fear, because I was afraid I would not be able to come online. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much. All right, and I want to just conclude by thanking everyone for attending. Thank you for your participation. Thank you to the presenters. You both have given us wonderful tips on how to develop ourselves into competent speakers who can deliver with confidence. And like Toastmaster Bilquis said, in Toastmasters, we learn by practicing. We practice, we get feedback, we incorporate the feedback to improve how we practice, and we get more feedback every time we practice. And that's the beauty of Toastmasters. So if there are any attendees on this webinar session who are not yet Toastmasters, because I posted it on my personal Facebook page. So if you are interested in learning how to become a more competent speaker, then join Toastmasters. And if you're already a Toastmasters, use your one of your Toastmasters promises, which is to attend meetings regularly, to prepare for your speeches, and to deliver speeches from your manual. And even taking on leadership roles can give you practice in speaking with confidence, because meeting roles also require some level of preparation and practice and delivering a speech or a report. So in Toastmasters, we come together to learn by doing and getting feedback and improving on how we do things. Thank you, Toastmaster Bilquis, Toastmaster Tuba, and to all the attendees. Have a great evening. We'll share the recording with everyone once it's ready, and I will upload it to Facebook and post it to different groups. And
thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Take care, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Good night.